Hello, and welcome to the Libri Labra book club. Today, we are talking about A Farewell to Arms by Ernest Hemingway, and I am joined by my husband, John, aka BookTube Hubby, and also by book club VIP member Tom. And we will do like initial thoughts, and then we will jump into spoiler territory. But before we really get into discussing things, I just want to let you know that if you ever want to join us on camera for our discussions, you can do that by becoming a book club VIP member at patreon.com/Libri Labra. And there's a few other perks like getting a custom bookmark and being in a Facebook group where we talk about the media we're consuming, in addition to being part of a rotation where you get to select the books that we're reading. So this was Tom's pick. Tom, I feel like you picked a few similar books. I feel like they might have been all war related.
They are all World War One related, yes.
Okay. Did you want to provide some additional context for what made you?
Because we had Armistice Day is 11/11, and I said, well, let's read something about World War One. We tried the first one, and apparently that's not going to be out. The audiobook isn't until next year, so we ended up with this one, which I wanted to read anyway because I read his other book, The Sun Also Rises, I think it is, and so I thought, well, get another classic under your belt, sort of a thing. So that's the logic.
Initial thoughts?
Yay, wartime.
I don't think those were your initial thoughts.
I mean, going into any book that talks about war, that's always, the stuff hits the fan. I know what that. I mean, it's like I don't know. It's just like a regular war book, but I get it. There's a lot of recurring, interesting themes that happen through here that I don't know. I don't with the current atmosphere. I've been very cynical. So.
I think it was easier to read than I was expecting it to be.
I would agree to that.
But despite that, I struggled because I had looked for the ebook, and apparently the ebook for this is not coming out till January 1st, 2025.
No, there are other copies around.
I mean, like, yeah. So I don't know if that changed at some point because I went on Amazon looking for the ebook and it was just saying January 1st, that it wasn't coming out till January 1st. So, and there were like paperback copies, but I wouldn't have had the time to get the paperback.
Get them right.
So I mostly listened to the audiobook, and I feel like this is my struggle when I only listen to audiobooks anyway, is that like I can kind of remember the individual interactions, but like sometimes the whole of it is lost for me a little bit. And then I had checked the library looking for the ebook. I had checked Everand looking for the ebook. And then finally, when I got to part 5, I was like, wait, did I check Hoopla? And so I found it on Hoopla. There was like an illustrated version. So at least I was able to listen and read part 5 with my eyes.
Right.
So I probably processed that the most. But I think I was surprised by how much of this story was told with the dialogue. And I didn't think the dialogue was great. I mean, is it telling the story? Yes. So it's serviceable, I guess. But there was so much repetition in the way people were speaking that it was just kind of frustrating, I thought. But so those are my initial thoughts. But we can now jump into spoiler territory. And Tom, I will let you lead the way.
A minor correction. It was For Whom the Bell Tolls that I read.
Oh, okay.
Not Sun Also Rises. But kind of similar settings. They have an American who is going to a war that's not his own. And there was the Spanish Civil War, and here it's in Italy against the Austrians, apparently. What do you think, made him do that?
I mean, unfortunately for me, I am not familiar enough with like history as much as I should be.
Right.
and even less so with World War One.
Mhm.
So, but I mean, wasn't it still about us being allies, or was that not the case?
Well, I don't think it's so much about the question is not so much about who was fighting who, but what do you think in a person says, hey, there's a war over there. I'm going to help this side fight it, sort of a thing.
I thought he actually said that he was just in Italy when the poop hit the fan, so he
Oh, and
like
that's also possible.
he was
Yes,
just snagged as a you're here, might as well fight for
fight
us.
it.
Oh man.
So, but yeah, did you get the impression that he was wealthy? His family was?
Mm-mm.
No,
I didn't get that impression.
because he was using whatever the site drafts that he was always like going to the bank and it's like they'll have to pay
Oh,
on site.
he handed everybody money.
Yeah,
Yeah, did recall that. That he handed everybody money everywhere he went. He just handed everybody $10,
yeah,
$5.
yeah. And now and later in the novel when they escape, to Switzerland, it's like how the hell are they living in these posh hotels and such? They have to have money coming from somewhere, but so. But anyway, to the main point of the book. What do you think about the relationship between Catherine and Federico?
The one thing that was, and it's not so much about their relationship, but it made me think a lot about Ernest Hemingway and maybe the times. But
I spent some time thinking about it too.
I started to get really frustrated with her obsession about being thin and being pretty,
Ah,
um and how she, it was just, it was never about her feeling those things necessarily. It was always about like doing it for him.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll be thin again, I'll be pretty again for you, honey. Like, it was just like, I don't know, does she have her own anything? It just seemed like that it was just all about him, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
which just made her feel like a very empty character to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think I actually recall hearing something about her character not next being called something specific because there's zero growth. I'll have to look that up.
Well, I don't think either of them really grow, do they? I mean, except in the point where it sounded like when they first started their relationship was like, "Oh, I love you," and they both knew they were lying to each other. But at some point, it became real. So I guess maybe is that character development? I guess I don't know.
It would be.
I mean, I feel like as someone that reads a lot of romance,
Yes,
that
this
yeah,
ain't it.
yeah, I guess it was written that it became real, but I don't think it ever felt real to me at any point. Like even when he was kind of, well, I don't want to jump till the end, but it didn't feel real. It just kind of felt like two characters. I mean, the one thing that felt real seemed that like he was trying to avoid the war, um, and avoid being on the front lines,
Mhm.
and um, and that he did kind of want to see her, but I don't know if I felt like that they loved each other. Like it didn't feel like this, dangerous wartime love story that I was like fully invested in.
Right. Well, that's fair.
um
Maybe Ernest didn't really know how to write a love story. He just wanted to write the war book. But they wanted a love story. I don't know. I'm joking.
no, well, what's interesting is that there's a part in the book where I think he's talking to an Italian, and Italian is saying like, unless you've experienced love, you have like no idea what it feels like. You have no idea. And I feel like that little section there and what that Italian was saying, I felt very just true and emotional and
Okay.
like kind of deep. But I
Mhm.
think that was it. Like I never felt
That
that
was
in
it.
a relationship. I never felt that in the relationship with Catherine. And I think maybe it was because of the dialogue.
Can you blame the narrator for that then?
No, I don't think it was how the narrator was
It was just how it
delivering
was
it. It
written.
was it was the actual dialogue. Like it just didn't feel like real conversations. Like how many times are you gonna say, "Do you love me, honey? Do you love me?" Like I don't know. It was just like it was very repetitive. Like it was just like one thought that was said maybe like five different ways in a scene, and it just didn't feel like there was any real deep conversation happening.
If you, I think if you listen to the movies made in like the 20s and 30s, you would
Mhm.
hear that
That
style of
same thing.
dialogue, that
Mhm.
overheated style of,
Oh man.
yeah. So it may have been part of the times, who knows? That dramatic depiction of romance required that you speak in this way, sort of thing.
And I did see
So,
that there were like multiple movies based on this, so I was
yes,
considering watching one of them. I don't know which one the
you may
better.
like it better. Who knows? That
Yeah,
could be the thing.
who knows?
But yeah, it seemed to me that they were just like, okay, we're here in this war, and that's why we're getting together, sort of a thing. Nobody likes it, but everybody's fighting it, and um, it just seemed to me that yeah, they slid into their relationship. So I guess by the time they were going off to Switzerland together, yeah, they were in a relationship. But yeah, I think if they weren't, I don't think they would have gotten together if they kind of met in the circumstances they had. So
I don't know if I like just heard something wrong and misconstrued the situation, but was the book suggesting that soldiers were paying nurses to sleep with them? Did that happen, or did I just hear that wrong?
well, I how should I put this? It's not. I can see it happening. Whether the book actually says that, whether they be successful or not is another story. They may have attempted it, but I don't think they would have gotten very far. But on the odd chance, yeah, it's possible. But
I don't know. Maybe I just heard it wrong because I don't know who was saying what, but it almost sounded like the suggestion was that there was this whole brothel being run at the hospital, and I was like,
oh
"What? I don't think that." I was just very confused by it.
yeah, I mean it's possible. But like I said, I didn't get that, so that's not to say it wasn't there. But like I said, I didn't get that reading. But
I might have to go back now that I have the text. Did you?
I didn't catch that. If that was a
Maybe it
thing.
was in like, and maybe it was Catherine who was talking to him, who was asking him about like sleeping with other women or other nurses, or maybe it was a doctor who was asking him about the nurses. I don't know. I'd have to go back and like
right,
it was just it felt like a very weird conversation because they were definitely like how many people did you sleep with and how many of them did you pay to sleep with or something like that.
That sounds like something she would ask.
So
And then don't tell me.
mm-hmm.
So yeah.
But the other interesting part to that was originally Rinaldi had his eyes set on her, and then when they double dated, let's say, he's like, oh yeah, no, she's yours. So, it's very how very Italian of you to go from one to the other. So he gets laid up after getting hit by, I guess, artillery fire behind the lines. And I think the expectation is throughout the book is that he's going to buy it at some point. He's going to buy the farm. He's going to die at some
mhm.
point. And that's what, like me. That's what I was waiting for. It's like, okay, is this it? So everything, even though it's like in half the book.
Right.
So, but he survives, and he's apparently well liked because people bring him shit. And, they bring him liquor, and everything else.
Yeah.
Despite the head nurse's best efforts to keep it away from him. So
If he's just handing everybody money all the time.
no, see, there you go.
So interestingly, I wasn't expecting him to die, um, because I feel like it was just so much about his perspective and his experience and what he was going through, and like,
Right.
yeah, I didn't. I think I expected more of what actually happened in the story.
That's fair. Yeah, me, I guess I just expected something to happen to the protagonist. well, not that it didn't, but just it did happen in a different way than you would expect. So, trying to think what other questions. Do you guys have any like thoughts that you want to share? Of
Um, so again, I don't know if it was the way the dialogue was, but there was like almost a very lightly comical element. I mean, I guess that it's like
mm-hmm.
war and it's serious and there's a lot of things going on, but there it still felt like somewhat comical to me. Like just not super humorous, but just a light
Mm-hmm.
because of the way they were talking to each other. Like I don't know, I just couldn't. I guess I wasn't bored in those times. I can't imagine talking to someone like that. It was just maybe my ADHD hearing the same thing over and over again, just feeling like the conversation wasn't really moving. It's just kind of staying stuck in these loops. Um,
Well, yeah, but what if you're in that sort of situation, what do you have to talk about? The war. It's like the weather. The same idea. It's something everybody experiences and everybody can talk about, but
Torch.
right, but that's just it's just so what made it what made their relationship feel so shallow. I mean, and even with the things they were going through, even the way she told him that she was pregnant, that was really weird. Like I ended up having to ask John, is it his? Because it feels like she was just talking about it in such a detached way,
mm-hmm.
like so that he didn't feel any responsibility, and that doesn't coincide with love to me. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like, oh, we're having a baby. This is this thing that we're gonna go through together, that we're sharing, that like I don't know. It was weird, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
When was this written?
The 1920s? Question mark.
Yeah, that's very big change. That was over 100 years ago. Or actually, it is 100 years ago.
Okay, so I wasn't alive in the 1920s. I don't
Right.
know how women told.
We think differently now.
I understand we think differently now, but like, I would just think that if you were in love with someone and you were telling them that you were pregnant, that it would just be a little bit more personal.
It'd be worded differently.
Yeah.
Not like maybe I shouldn't.
Like, I mean, I feel like she announced it like she got sick and was like, it's okay, like I'll get better, kind of a thing. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know.
It was published in September of 1929, so it must have been written in the late 20s.
I wonder who like tackled the movie.
We can find out, I'm sure. But
Would you want to watch the movie, or you don't care?
I guess it depends on which one, because I'm pretty sure there's a bunch.
Yeah, I'm sure.
mm-hmm. And it may be in that medium, when you actually see what they're going through,
translate a little bit differently.
Yeah, it'll hit a little bit differently too, I would think. Because then you can see like the situations at the front lines and how he's apparently an ambulance driver or an ambulance corpsman. That wasn't clear to me. So, but he was obviously in charge of a group of like 4 men, and it was interesting. When they had to retreat, what happened? Like only one of them stuck by, and one was killed, one essentially deserted, and then one stuck with him until they got separated. But and I think where he lost his gumption for the war was when the Italians were shooting the officers that weren't with their regiments. And and in this case, through no fault of his own, they got separated, and like, this is not for me, sort of a thing.
Do you know where in his writing this shows up? Like, is this more his earlier writings, or somewhere in the middle, or towards the end?
Oh, in his bibliography?
Yeah.
I'm not as well versed with Hemingway as I probably should be. So let's take a look.
There was a documentary that came out about Ernest Hemingway at some point that I really wanted to watch.
Yeah, Oh, it's a long way to get to the bibliography here on Wikipedia. Oh my God, come on. All I want is a bibliography. Oh, here it is, selected works. Um, let's see, the first work listed here is in 1923. The last is in 1952.
Oh, wow.
So, and that was The Old Man in the Sea.
That
But
was his last?
that's his last notable work, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if it's his last work, but it was his last
Notable. Yeah.
Yeah, because he wrote, this was 19. When did he write For Whom the Bell Tolls? Oh, that came much later, in 1940.
Yeah, because I remember reading The Old Man and the Sea and just feeling that it sounded a little bit more lyrical and poetic. I don't remember feeling the same way about the conversations. So, I mean, but he could have just been going with the times or adopting different writing techniques or have gotten better over time as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because I guess having dialogue between people probably is the fastest way to just convey information
Right.
outside having like long descriptions of things.
I remember his style being compared to like a newspaper sort of style. It's like just the facts and boom, boom, boom. And you go on to that. Whether that's for everybody, who knows? But, I'm sure that, I mean, that's what he's known for, though. I mean, it's the style. The style is essentially the same in For Whom the Bell Tolls as well. Although the relationship there is remarkably different. I'll just say that. For better or for worse. But so, what do you think about his farewell times, like I brought up before, when he says, "All right, I'm out of here."
What was it that made them? Oh, because they said he was going to be arrested.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was going to be shot because he was not part of his regiment, not with his regiment.
Oh, be treated like a deserter.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So he had to get to desert.
He had to bounce.
And not only that, but as they were trying to make their way to retreat, they were fired on. Like friendly fire was the what killed one of his men. So there's that too.
I feel like they seem surprisingly chill, all things considered, when they arrived in Switzerland.
That's their happily ever after, man.
No, I know, but like, I don't know. I guess it sounds pretty stressful to be running from one country to another to escape arrest or being killed or whatever the case is, and then and I guess like you're gonna do whatever you need to do to survive, but the ease and the playfulness with which they were lying about things, um, again, I feel just made it kind of comical. The way he was just like, what were they saying? Winter sports? Is that what?
Oh, yeah, he's there for the winter sports.
Yeah, I thought that was I thought that was one of the comic points in the book, in the sense that they're all about, oh, we're going to let you into the country. Well, when now you're here, oh no, come here.
Right, yeah.
We want the tourist dollars. I was like, no, we want the tourist.
And then there was a whole debate about like tobogganing and luging and the difference, yes. And like, it's like, okay. And then Catherine was just basically encouraging him to just keep making stuff up.
That's her job, to encourage him, right? At least that was the idea.
Yeah. Well, it had to tell him something, and the truth certainly ain't going to work. So, oh yeah, we deserted from the Italian army. Whatever. Well, she deserted from her British army too. So,
I think what was fascinating was kind of finding out what pregnancy during that time is like, because her labor. I mean, I didn't even know C-sections were available back in the 20s.
Yeah, that was surprising to me. Now, whether it was in the 40s and like, he wrote it in 29. So yeah, I guess it was part of the.
And I don't know if the doctor was just talking shit, but he was talking about it like it was a fairly common procedure. Yeah. Maybe a little too much. Because I feel like even today, people would be like, well, we're cutting open their
Right.
stomach. And
Well,
like,
I think back then they were excited to actually have another option. You know what I'm saying? That
Right.
oh, we found out there's a way that we could do that, and they were just like, yeah, let's just do
doing
it,
it.
and
Yeah.
not even realizing what like how much it sucks.
Man.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hey,
Because you
this
have
new
to
thing
like
that we can do.
tear through the, or like cut through the muscle wall to get
Mm-hmm.
all up in there. Um, did you think the baby was going to make it?
I actually thought that yeah, the baby was, but she
She
wasn't.
wasn't? Oh, really?
But when they both did, I was like, oh,
Oh yeah, this is spoiler territory, by the way. This one.
Oh, we've been in spoiler territory.
I know.
oh.
There wasn't a disclaimer at the beginning. That's all.
Um, I forgot what I was going to say about that.
About who?
Birth?
Just yeah, the birth.
About
Like I feel like the minute, I don't know if it was the doctor or she was repeating something the doctor said, but the minute narrow hips were mentioned, I was like, okay. I just felt like that was the foreshadowing that something was going to go wrong.
horribly wrong.
Because he was even like, narrow hips, what does that mean? She was like, nothing, darling, nothing. And I was like, okay. And then, of course, she started having trouble. But what did they have her on? Laughing gas?
Yeah.
Sure sounds that way.
Which was not the best.
No, I know, but I'm just like trying to, as someone who's delivered a baby before, I'm trying to process what that would be like at all. Like,
yeah, but the astounding thing there is, number one, they let him like directly into the OR, like where she's having the baby. Number two, they let him adjust the gas. So it's like,
yeah, that's
it's like you would never see that today. I mean,
no.
For good and obvious reasons, but yeah.
But even just the fact that they were adjusting it per contraction,
right?
Was, well, I guess they wouldn't want to have it running the whole time.
No.
But maybe I've never had laughing gas before, because I thought like it would just completely knock you out.
It doesn't, and if it's just a large dose, like
yeah,
I don't know. It depends on the dosage. Like if they're just like hitting her like a little bit here and there, but if, I know that when they put it on you, it takes like 10 seconds and you're out. So it can't be like unless they. That sounds ridiculous. I mean, I think to be honest.
She kept putting the thing up to her face and breathing it in, like taking it off. So I don't know. That whole thing was kind of wild.
Well, one assumes it was a more general anesthetic when they went into the cesarean, although they don't mention that. I don't think.
I think it was also interesting hearing about, the suggested dangers of using the forceps, I guess, to pull the baby out. That was more risky than the C-section, which I don't know if that's the case today.
Right. Well, it depends on who you're trying not to hurt.
Well,
right.
When I was pregnant, I used to watch like those reality TV shows where women were having kids. I don't even remember what they were called at the time.
When they were like, surprised that they were pregnant at all?
Well, they would be pregnant, and then the cameras would follow them throughout their pregnancy, going to the doctor's visits, and then you'd get to see the labor and like, man, I wish I remember the name of it now. But I used to watch them because it just, when it helps you figure out what to expect, right? Okay. And almost all of the babies, because oftentimes the forceps were used, they would come out with like cone heads.
There you go.
And like, but it was so common on the show that I was like, there's no way they live life like that. So apparently like babies' heads are just so soft and moldable. Yeah, malleable that like, eventually it just goes back to normal. But they would come out with elongated heads where they got pulled out or suctioned out or like,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
But so. I'm sure they pick and chose what you saw. So if all of them end up like that, that was the thing.
It was a good portion.
Mm-hmm.
I was scared.
I'm thinking too when Federico had to have his leg worked on,
Mhm.
and the captain says, "Oh, it'll be 6 weeks, like before I can operate," sort of a thing.
Did you say 6 weeks or like
You know,
6 months?
Yeah,
I thought it
6 months,
was
something
long.
like that. It was
Yeah, I
something,
Yeah,
thought
it
it
was
was a
gonna be
like
long
long.
time.
really, really
You
long.
gotta let it
He was
sit
like,
there for
"No,
6 to 8 months.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Get the other guy."
Yeah, and he's like, well, and I just thought the commentary was funny. Well, you're only a captain. I need a major to look at it. And he said, oh yeah, we'll get you in tomorrow, and boom. So
Yeah, so that's pretty well. And while reading, I started thinking of like the scenes in Outlander where in the beginning where they show Claire at war and the things
mhm,
that Claire was doing, like on the battlefield to like help with them. But I think she was in World War II, I think.
yes,
But still, I guess the setup just made me think of that.
Uh, the first surgeon, he might be thinking that would be long enough that the guy would die before it would happen. 6 months is a very long time.
time, yes,
I thought the purpose was like so some healing would happen. I don't know. Maybe I didn't think about it too hard. But like just like some healing would happen, so maybe it would
yeah.
not.
I
Yeah.
don't remember the reasoning, but it's at first glance it sounded good, but like he's like, but 6 months, yeah, before you
Right.
operate, yeah, no, that's not right.
Unless the idea was to let what was in there fester a little bit, so it's be easier to be found whenever he goes in. Like if there's
Mm.
stuff to pull out.
Ugh.
I don't know, man.
No, but if there's stuff to pull out, you would think that in that 6 months, stuff would have grown over it and it would have been better. It'd be a hell of a lot harder to
Right.
get out.
Right.
So
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
no,
This all sounds gross anyway.
yeah, you wouldn't like it. So no, but going to when I was saying that, I was expecting something to happen to him, which it did, but not in the way you were expecting. It's like
Right.
you know, re, you know, quote unquote ordinary life has its dangers too. Haha, surprise. You know, poor Catherine, the baby.
She seemed very prepared to meet her fate.
Yes, very stoic at the end. But I guess you had to be when you were in war. That's the way you'd have to take it, I guess. Like you said, it was a lot of surface conversations and such, but that's what you did we have to have conversation and we have to have a mutual subject, and here we are. And but like that, it's just how do you react to seeing so much tragedy on a daily basis? You know, and I'm thinking about MASH now. You know,
Mhm.
it's so awful that you have to laugh. Because if you cry, you never stop.
Right. I know there was like not a chapter, but maybe like a page or a really long paragraph where he was just like, "She's going to die. She's going to die. She's going to die. No, she's not. She's going to die." He was just like arguing with himself and was like, "Okay, I get it. I don't know." Um, like I understand that he was kind of stuck in a loop in his head, kind of thinking about that.
Right.
I just feel like the words that were used could have been diversified a little bit. I mean, it could have been like I feel like what he was feeling could have been written a little bit more detailed.
This is also, I mean, one of your favorite books has an entire chapter of him saying the F word. So
Whatever.
Wow.
so what I'm saying is, like,
I have to ask, which book is that?
you read it, Tom.
Which one?
All our wrong todays.
It's all our wrong todays.
Oh,
The time travel one.
yes. Now that you said it, I vaguely remember.
But if you actually put yourself in the situation, I mean, empathetically, I'm sure you did. You were probably, while you were reading that, you were like, ugh, really? Or is this your afterthought? Because I figured you'd be all like, oh my God, he's right. She's going to die.
I mean,
Because you're supposed to be in his head.
I'm trying to think if that was like before he found out that the baby had died. Because I don't think it was. I think like he was thinking all that just when
Right.
they had decided that she was going to have a C-section.
But he didn't know the baby was born dead because the doctor didn't tell him right away.
Right. So I don't think he knew any of those things. I don't know. I think I was just struggling to like figure out what the likelihood of her dying was. Just trying to consider the times, because at some point he even says, "Oh, women rarely die in childbirth now."
Yeah.
I mean, but I don't. What is that?
I think
but
that was a
rarely
lie
is
too.
like relative still to the times. So
Right.
They're trying to make everybody feel better before it happens anyway. So, was Hemingway one of the writers that we knew that were alcoholics?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, all right.
Oh, that was the other
That
thing.
would explain a lot of
I feel like she drank a lot. She
Who
was
did?
the Catherine. Yeah, while she was pregnant, I feel like she was drinking a lot.
Oh, brandy was safe. The brandy was considered safe. The brandy was considered safe. Like, and they said it multiple times. She's fine with the brandy, but nothing
just
else.
Like smoking was safe too.
Yeah.
So,
but they both drank
that was
a lot.
Surprise. Yeah, it seemed like they were both drinking a lot. But I'm sure just war is really hard to wrap your head around, and the stress of being in it. So like, you gotta cope how you gotta cope.
It's true.
Yes, medicine was different. Of course, it was 100 years ago, so just about. So some advances were made, hopefully.
Yeah, it was nowhere near as expensive.
Also true.
What was nowhere near as expensive? Alcohol
Medical.
or okay.
Everything.
I wonder what was his thinking in the decision to kind of make it seem like they thought they were having a girl and then having it be a boy. If that was like meant to somehow place more value on the baby's life, or make
That's what I was thinking.
him more interested in the idea of having a baby, or to just make the weight of it heavier.
In the sense that what the boy child is more desirable than the girl child?
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like that kind of comes up in like older movies and stuff, just to get the men excited about having a baby. It's a boy, to carry his name, to continue the patriarchy, to like whatever.
Yay, patriarchy! Yeah.
All of that.
Yes. So. But yeah, I mean, I think for me the surprise was, like I said, because you knew something had to happen, because otherwise why tell the story?
Right.
And it's like, surprise, it happened to Catherine, and, the baby, unfortunately. And to him, of course, emotionally. But like I said, I fully expected him not to survive the novel. So.
I don't know why I didn't think to share it with you, but there was after finishing this, literally like a few minutes after finishing reading through Audible, Instagram showed me posts of old pregnant situations, like old things that happened back in the day. And it was a chair that had two holes dug into it where a man would sit, and the pregnant lady would be holding a string that's attached to this guy's testicles, that every time she had a contraction, she would pull on his to make him feel her pain.
Hardcore. All right. You did this to me. Well, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought No way. There's no way.
That's awful.
Is it?
I wouldn't wish that pain on anyone. It was not fun.
But I mean, like you're dealing with it already. He's like, and you just get to sit there and watch. Screw you.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like I'm constantly hearing stories, especially about older people, how they were not in the room at all, how they weren't, part of the whole labor thing. So they weren't there holding their wife's hand or like seeing what she was going through. It was like they waited outside, and then when the baby was out, the baby was out.
Right.
So,
Outside with a cigar, telling people at the bar.
something like that, yeah. So
So, another question: what do you think happened to our protagonist after the end of the novel? What happened? What do you think? What do you think he did?
That's hard to tell. Hard to say.
Hard to say. Yeah, we're not
Well,
giving any indication.
That's a pretty dire outlook after everything that you had run. You ran away from everything to be with this person, and then start another different life that now is gone. So, do you go back to the old life that is already hunting you? When you go back, that they're just going to shoot you? No, you don't do that. You carry on where you're at, and with all the memories of what you just lost. I don't know, man. It's a lot.
I
That's
don't know.
heavy.
I feel like he would go back to the States and then,
Yeah, that's fine.
and then almost pretend like nothing ever happened.
Shh, talk about
I'm
PTSD.
not, I'm
Holy
not saying
crap.
that that's like a good idea, but I just feel like
Right.
Right.
um,
Live your life in the garden.
Yeah, but to John's point, how all this started was they were going to shoot him for a deserter, which he wasn't, but now he is.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, they will totally we'll set you up in front of our firing stuff and find you. So, but yeah,
wasn't she like telling him before she died? Wasn't she like, I want you to be
Be happy, be with all the other girls.
Yeah, something like
yeah,
that.
that age old thing. Yeah.
That's what a man wants to hear. That's not what she felt.
Is that what a man wants to hear?
No, I'm saying,
Wait, what?
I'm saying back in the 20s. I'm pretty sure that's what that was, where that was minced.
Yeah, that's the question that has no right answer. Will you marry somebody after I die?
Nope.
No right answer.
I feel like no. I'm not gonna start an argument.
And that's why there's no right answer.
What you mean?
I just feel like I've said, if I die and you find somebody else that you love, like I'm not gonna be upset about that.
How
I would
can
want
you?
you to
You're
be
not
happy. I'm not gonna be here. Yeah, I know. But I feel like you were the one that said
No.
you would be upset if I remarried.
No, I'm not there. What you mean to do? Haunt you?
No.
That's not gonna happen.
I would definitely haunt you.
I know. I don't. Don't do it.
Oh my god. But
Some Friday the 13th crap. Always in my dreams.
Mhm.
I don't know. I think it kind of sucks that he didn't have an opportunity to be more a part of what was happening as it was happening when she was in labor. Like they were just kind of like shooing him away.
Oh yeah, they
So he
pushed
didn't-
him out all the time.
And I guess
Well, they did allow in the first part. They did allow him, but then when shit got dire, he's like, "Yeah, you got," which I get. You don't want like the spouse, getting in the way and shit. I get that.
Especially when they realize that something bad has happened. They
Yeah, that's what I
be
mean.
more involved.
Right.
Yeah, they gotta get
more.
they gotta get to work.
Right. Right.
which I guess is fair. I guess I was just trying to think of like what I mean, it's heartbreaking regardless, but what is worse, like seeing them pull out the baby and knowing the baby wasn't alive, or coming back thinking you're gonna see your baby and then seeing a colorless body.
But even then I don't know, the whole plausible deniability aspect of it is that what did you do to my baby? What happened? That like then everybody, I don't know. I'd want to be there to see it happen versus what what could have happened
What could have
between
happened,
here
like
and
if there was
here
any
that somebody could
negligence
have
or he
saved
messed
something,
up,
or right? Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't a doctor, so not he wouldn't have necessarily known what all
That's
the right
true.
things to do were, because he was asking about the cesarean.
And was this still a common thing of not knowing to turn the baby before pulling it out so it doesn't choke to death on the umbilical cord?
No, I think it just happens sometimes that the baby ends up with the umbilical cord wrapped around their neck.
Right, it does. Does it still happen today?
Oh
But
yeah,
I figured,
it's
Oh,
still
I
a
would
thing
have
that
to
can
think,
happen
yeah.
today. Yeah.
okay. 'Cause
And
I figured
but
that
that's usually
we could figure out that needs to be shifted or changed before they come out.
I mean, the baby should shift by itself because it isn't usually facing down.
Right.
So when you're
When it's time
getting
to come
ready
out,
for
right.
labor, that's when it turns around. And then if it doesn't, then they would say the baby is in breech,
Right.
with its feet facing down. But whether it's in breech or there's an issue with the umbilical cord, those are two probably of the highest reasons why they would be like, okay, we need to have a cesarean.
Okay.
Because you can't push the baby past something that's strangling them.
Right.
So you would do it from the top so that you can unwind the. Yeah. It's rough. But usually the sign that something like that is wrong is just like not making any progress during labor.
Right. In which they did take forever to even. Yeah. Nobody thought about nothing.
But
Okay.
now, thankfully, we have the technology to like ultrasound.
Yeah, we could look
and
at it.
see. We could look at it. Yeah.
Sorcery and witchcraft, I tell you.
Mm-hmm. That's what science is basically magic until you understand.
I mean, seriously, I have just heard of like some surgeries that people had to go through and they lived through, and it's just like, it's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And I know some people aren't as lucky, but there are a lot of procedures that I feel like are very intense that we completely take for granted.
Right.
That
Yeah.
And not
That
just
really people should not be living through, but we are.
Yeah, not just the fact that we have the technology to do it, but the fact that we have people trained,
willing,
and skilled,
actually
and all
make
that,
those
all
mistakes.
that.
Right.
It's
Mm-hmm.
just incredible.
Yeah. The fear of fucking up and killing somebody in that process is just, that would put me completely no, sir. I'm not having somebody else do that. I could not live with that on my conscience if I could put somebody through something like that and then they just didn't make it because I made a mistake
Or
with my ADHD brain.
I'm sure there's so many situations where people, even though they make you write it.
Oh, yeah.
Not this arm. This arm. There's
Mhm.
still situations where they
Oh, yeah.
operate on the
There's-
wrong.
Earlier this
the
week,
wrong
I
limb.
saw another one. Of course, it was in Florida.
So,
Yeah, but you don't hear about the ones that go right. That's the other
Right.
thing.
That's true.
You know, I mean,
that's
what?
like every day. Like every day.
Take it for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah, before antibiotics, what do we do about infections?
We died.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. Or even like eyeglasses, you just went around life blurry. I
Mhm.
guess, you know,
I'm still doing that.
same, but still. So yeah, be thankful. One last question, then, I guess, before we wrap up, since we get close to time. Would you read Hemingway? More of Hemingway?
Again?
Of your own volition.
Maybe the later years
Okay.
after he's learned a little bit more about his writing.
I mean, I've read before because like I said, I read The Old Man and the Sea, and I had been interested in reading more, which was why I picked this one. I don't think I loved this one in particular, or at least I don't think he did a great job writing romance. But
I used to it.
And not everyone has to have that kind of good romance kick. I'm sorry.
listen, you're writing about love, like.
It's like
In the
Mule
time
and
of
Porter.
war, from a man's perspective, okay?
I don't know. What I hear you saying is that No.
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 What?
That
What?
it's like that it's just perfectly okay for him to not do it right because he's a man.
No,
Is what it
that's just
sounds
what
like.
happened.
Hey, he's
I'm
doing it
not
right for
saying,
him.
I'm not
He's doing it right
justifying
for
it.
him.
I'm just saying that's just the.
Who
that's
are
how it
you to
is.
gatekeep love?
But
Uh,
yeah, I think I would. I mean, I'd probably, look at the topics that he's writing about, I guess. I mean, I know he spent some time in Cuba, right? Didn't he live there for a while?
I,
So if he wrote anything, well, I guess wasn't that The Old Man in the Sea?
so
Um,
I read it. I couldn't
I don't
tell you.
know. It would depend on the synopsis of the story, I think. But I'm not closed off to it. I do like that his stories tend to be a little bit shorter. It's not like
Hmm.
he's. I don't know anything about For Whom the Bell Tolls. What is that about?
During the Spanish Civil War in
Oh,
America,
okay.
he's in Spain and he's helping God, which one was it now? I don't want to say the wrong side, so I'm not going to say, but he's helping one of the sides. And it's somewhat similar, but it's also somewhat different.
Okay, I was gonna say, does he fall in love with a nurse there too?
falling in love with the nurse there.
There's
There's
no
no.
in the sense that there's no real nurses there, but there
Okay.
is. Well, if you read it, you'll know.
Oh boy.
Is it a longer story or is it around the same?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Okay.
I think it's about the same. As you know, he's not one for flowery language, so it's
Right.
like, he keeps it short. So
What about you?
What about me?
Would you read more of his work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And probably critique it just as hard. I
Mhm.
should be. For it being old and patriarchal and like just whatever.
it's told from a particular viewpoint. Let's just put it that way.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, and you may or may not like that viewpoint, but that's his viewpoint.
So you've read at least two things by him. Are you looking to kind of go through his whole?
No, I also want to read the one I mentioned originally. The Sun Also Rises. I think that's like those four works. I think, and For Whom the Bell Tolls, this work, um, Farewell to Arms, Old Man in the Sea, and the other one. Those are the four ones that I would want to read. Am I in a great hurry to? No, because
No.
I kind of have. No, I know the style and such, and but I would not be adverse to reading it either. So,
All right. Cool. Do we have ratings?
Do we have what now?
Ratings.
I hope so.
No.
In mine first? No,
Yes.
I completely threw it away. What? I'm gonna take a step back. Let's get 3 stars. It's been a while since I've given
Okay.
something 3 stars. It was all right. It wasn't something I'm like, yay, let's do that again. So
mhm.
all right, that's my rating.
Okay.
Sorry, Earnest.
Earnest. No, it's Earnest. I think it's ER.
Oh, is
Is
it
it-
ER?
Yeah, I think it's ER.
Not EAR.
I
No.
thought you said it was EA.
That was my bad then.
Um.
I was wondering
Yeah.
if that they named people that because if they had one, or it was just an old name. But never mind.
Okay.
I feel like I'm somewhere between a 2 and a 3.
Okay.
But I'll probably just give it a 3. But I also like I said, it wasn't until part 5 that I was able to start reading it with my eyes. So because of that, I'm tempted, and because it's not that long, I'm tempted to potentially maybe. Wait, why are you shaking your head at me? Maybe go back and read it.
potentially,
Maybe.
maybe kind of. I might.
Maybe.
I think that's probably not. You got so many other books.
I mean,
to
I
read.
do. But
Yes.
how about you, Tom?
I think for most of it, I did like his interaction with the men, and his and particularly his men. The four they with him, like when they were talking. I guess it was Rinaldi was my favorite character. He was already like jive the priest about
He gave the priest hell every chance he could.
The guy did, yeah, which is great. So I'd say for most of it, about 3.5, but the ending had me give it a 4. So it's like, oh well, that was, because like I said, it was unexpected to me. So.
And for our December book, I don't have it in hand, but we are reading Holidays on Ice by David Sedaris, which has a whole bunch of, I assume, holiday essays or holiday-related essays.
It has the Santaland Diaries in it.
It's.
Oh, you started
I've already started it.
Yeah.
It's definitely got some Christmas joy.
Well, you guys,
the Sedaris family.
Yes.
I think his sister actually narrates some of it too.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, yeah, you guys know that the best way for like Sedaris and such is to hear him.
Yeah.
Because he puts spins on
and
things.
He's good.
I would never have thought of that.
Right. He says he does some pretty good voices too, and he's when he does some of his characters, you're like, David just did that. It was good. It was good.
I feel very honored that we had an opportunity to meet him. That was definitely an experience.
So. Yeah, I met him ages ago too in Philadelphia. It was great.
Yeah, definitely one of the better author experiences I've had.
So.
All right, so if you guys have made it this far, thank you, and hopefully you'll come back and join us for Holidays on Ice. So have a wonderful Christmas and then probably New Year's before we're back talking about Holidays on Ice. But bye, everyone.
Bye, guys. Wrong hand.